This is where the Shuso, or head monk, would sit. So perhaps she's remembering practice from a former birth. And during the head monk ceremony, which some of you have seen, the head monk gets up as the assembly is slowly chanting the Heart Sutra. And he or she or they go and collect a staff, often made of bamboo, but not always. And they take it to the person leading the teaching during the ongo, or the training period. Make up your mind, you. And then they step to one side and then to the other of the teacher and bow with the staff. And this represents this devices like this, gadgets of this kind, pretty much always represent being in a position of caring for the teaching. So I suppose there are exceptions, but generally speaking, something like this is given to a Dharma heir during the Dharma transmission ceremony. And it symbolizes responsibility for and care of the teaching. And then the head monk will go and take his seat, their seat. And then we'll do this short recitation explaining that this is the shupei, so-called, as it's called in Japanese. And the recitation has the person say that it's 5 feet long, but often it's not. Anyway, roughly 5 feet long. And then they say, sometimes it is Manjushri's sword, or a Vajra sword, giving and taking life. And I've been thinking about this past week because of last week's talk, where we had the image of the revered founder of Zen Center whacking on somebody with a stick and yelling at him. And that incident, it occurred to me, was Suzuki Roshi wielding the Vajra sword. Oh, then I had to wonder, was it hey Mark, could you mute? There we go, everyone's muted. Okay, thank you. Yeah, was that an occasion for granting or taking life? And in any case, what does that mean? How is a sword to grant life? Well, and then I was thinking of Her Royal Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, who, of course, when she bestows knighthood, touches the shoulders of the new knight or lady in bestowing that title. That could be seen as granting life. So could the head monk going to the supervising teacher during that ceremony and receiving the shipe, the staff. So, well, what about taking life? Something Buddhists are supposed to avoid. And what about that incident with Suzuki Roshi and poor John Steiner? Receiving the blows on behalf of someone else. There are, of course, many stories in which someone is wielding a stick and uses it to whack someone else. And often in the context of some Dharma exchange or dialogue. And is that granting or taking life? Are you leaving? Oops. My screen says Tendo is waiting for admittance. It's way down at the bottom. There it is, yeah. Ordinarily, you know, hitting somebody is, well, you know, it's a little rough. But there are occasions, we are told, when that was greatly freeing for someone. I personally haven't experienced that. My teacher was not big on hitting people. But I can imagine that happening. And we talked a bit about how if Manjushri's sword is going to function thoroughly, then it should be wielded by someone who understands that he's not really there. Otherwise, it's kind of an exercise in delusion. And those are not often that helpful. After all, we do that all the time. It may seem unlikely, but I think it is possible that someone on the receiving end, a Manjushri sword, might come to understand the meaning of the old saying, every day is a good day. You've heard that one. When Master Yunman made that declaration, it was in the context of telling his assembly that although it was a custom of the time to schedule certain events for usually the first half of the month. And these were lunar months, basically, so the bright half. And I don't know, maybe there were a few ceremonies that were relegated to the dark half. I hear the sound of plumbing. Oh, that's better. So basically, Yunman asked, if it's not the bright half and it's not the dark half, what is it? For some reason, in many of the stories involving him, nobody says anything. So the stories usually say, answering for the assembly, Yunman said, etc. In this instance, every day is a good day. And that remark is Manjushri's sword. Kind of pushing us into the embrace of the backward step. Usually our most comfortable embrace, tends to be kind of habit and superstition. So Yunman's remark is like a little shove back. If it isn't bright and it isn't dark, what is it? And the Shuso, the head monk, also says, holding the staff, sometimes it is a dragon swallowing heaven and earth. When heaven and earth are both gone, what is it? And just a little push. So every day is a good day is, of course, just the day right now. Now, what if, things aren't going so well? My brother got some news about might be a medical problem, of which he has a few. So that was not good news. And we had another instance of our what I try to encourage myself, thinking of as our miraculously shrinking sangha. How does that happen? Someone I was looking forward to maybe working with one day thought maybe another group would be more helpful. So I am feeling a little discouraged. And sad. Sometimes kind of angry. And it's been tremendously helpful to contemplate the day that is a good day. To receive Manjushri's sword is a little pushback. Manjushri's gentle voice saying, oh, wait a minute. Let's not go overboard here. And let's not just remember, but celebrate how things actually are. So that although there can be discouragement, there is no actual person who has to carry that weight. I was reluctant. Well, I often feel some reluctance to speak, but more so than usual today, because well, actually, I've been told in the past, not so much recently, I've been told that the teaching that I present is not welcoming. Or, you know, it's, I don't know, it's too cold or it's too zen. And people hear it and they run away. And then I can feel a little panic. It's just like, I don't have any other teaching than the one I have. Maybe I belong to the wrong sect, I tell myself. Then the other day, I saw a quote from no less a personage than the Third Karmapa. You know, the head of the Kagyu order or school or whatever they are in Tibetan Buddhism. And this was, I guess he was in the 13th century or so kind of around Dogen's time. And I guess somebody asked him a question. By that time, Vajrayana Buddhism was pretty developed. You know, had quite a ways to go, but it was pretty developed. And I think somebody said, you know, we have in our Dharma tradition here in Tibet, we have a practice, kind of a practice lineage called the Great Perfection. And then we have one kind of called the Supreme Seal. And then we also have the Great Middle Way. So this is Madhyamaka Buddhism. This is Mahamudra practice, and this is Dzogchen practice. So I think someone asked him, well, which one of these is, you know, the best? And Karmapa said something like, oh, for the clear-eyed person, These are all the same. I thought, yes, that has to be right. If one of them is like the right one, then there's something amiss. So they're all right. And our own Buddha Dharma is all right. And the person whose departure I'm mourning, didn't say anything to me. So I didn't know that this person was feeling like what was going on or what was available wasn't so helpful. I didn't know that. And when I heard that he was not going to be around, I wrote and said, please, I need to know if we did something wrong. And he said, no, didn't do anything wrong. Just what I understood was he wanted to be in an environment where he was talking a lot more with people. So I thought, oh yeah, kind of community feeling, which is really in short supply these days. I think we noticed. This is a lot better than nothing, but it's not quite what we need, I don't think. Still, it's a good day today. So we have this to applaud and be grateful for. So I just wanted to say again, if someone has some difficulty or thinks there's some problem, I really hope that person will speak up. Tell me or tell someone. Well, nobody sends telegrams anymore, but send a telegram. I do think that we are not so distant from a time when we will be able to get together again. And I am looking forward to that. And in the meantime, I'm very grateful to have the practice of every day is a good day. Very grateful. We already embody that practice, but we can make it a little more deliberate if we want and just look out on the day. Following the stream to the source, which, as you know, does not involve going anywhere. And let the river flow. And sometimes I think, well, every day is a good day, but boy, it'd be really a good day if A, B, and C were true. And then I think, yes, but then when A, B, and C, A, B, or C is not true any longer, then what? My only other point is Manjushri's sword it's not wielded by a particular person. We, all of us, wield it together. It's much safer that way. So we wanted to say thank you to Mahapajapati Gautami today, Buddha's mother's sister. Buddha's mother died, not long after his birth. So her sister raised Buddha. Kind of interesting story. And of course, she was the first woman arhat and the first bhikshuni, the first female member of Buddha's order, who was finally able to convince him that he was being a dick by not letting women be ordained. And one day he said, "Oh, I guess you're right. Okay, let's do it." So that was good. So it's a very, very short service, and I hope you will stay. I hope Toast will stay. Maybe now you have a question or comment? Okay-san.
Thank you for your talk. I think there is something missing doing this video, but I still think it's the right thing to do. I mean, there's a church down here in Santa Clara County that they just decided, well, we're going to go against the county and meet because we're not getting what we need on Zoom, and it's not. I don't think it reflects well on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like you said, probably soon.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. My brother, whom I mentioned, is a Catholic pastor, and he and his congregation are really feeling the pinch, not being able to assemble in the way that they're accustomed. So I definitely sympathize. He surprised me a little bit by, at least at times, if I'm not there to take him to task for reacting to what is basically a scientific situation as though it were a political situation, as though some evil people were preventing Christians from assembling. It's like, no, that is not what's going on. And I said, there are a lot of people who think that way, who voted for Donald Trump. You're not one of those, are you? No. That's right, I'm not. So just remember, it's the science, not the politics. I found personally that helpful anyway. David, did you have a question?
I just wanted to say, in my years here, I've seen many a person sort of skulk out the door. And I think in large part, they do it quietly. because of embarrassment. I think they're embarrassed to be upfront about this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm thinking. Just wanted to say that. So there's no fault implied with that. It would be nice if people could be straightforward, but you know, sometimes we can't.
Yeah, it would help our process enormously if people would be straightforward, you're right. But I couldn't count the many times in my own life when I was not straightforward.
I'm still not straightforward sometimes.
Yeah, me too.
I do wonder, though, even if they are straightforward, what are we going to do with that?
Yeah.
I mean, technically, religious organizations are allowed to gather in San Francisco at a certain percentage right now. So that's a reality. And, you know, and we've heard from people why sometimes they depart, but I don't know that we have solutions for them.
Yeah. Well, I lie awake at night sometimes trying to think of solutions. And I haven't come up with much. As soon as possible, we will invite people into our, you know, low-ceilinged, poorly ventilated room here, meditation hall, as soon as we can. That is my commitment. And from what I see, that possibility is coming closer and closer.
How about zazen in the garden, 4 people at a time, rain cancels?
Well, why not? I mean, we're likely to have the neighbors and the kids outside at the same time, but
That's okay, we hear racket on the street all the time.
racket on the street. So maybe we should schedule a garden zazen.
That's also permitted by the city. That is permitted, as is 25% capacity.
Yes, it is. I've heard that. Is Charles on?
Might be possible to do on our, that might be possible to do on our half day
Oh. Mm-hmm.
sitting, if weather permitting, maybe, because we'll have more periods of sitting that people could sign up for the period that they'd like to sit together in the garden.
Yeah, so maybe April 10, we can do something. And if that involves sitting in the garden, that could be quite pleasant. Okay, well, maybe we'll do our little ceremony. I'm not going to change clothes or put on my little white booties or anything. Did you want to say something?
Oh, I would, next week is council, I believe.
Oh, yes.
And it seems like the discussion that began today and question and answer and part of your talk would actually be something that could be, you know, explored and dissected and
I'm assuming
studied.
that's just the kind of thing for council. So I think there is a guest speaker next week, I think.
Kokyo.
Oh, Kokyo, right. Reverend Kokyo Henkel, former deadhead and current person of the way, will be giving the talk. I presume from wherever he is. I don't know where he is. So by all means, come for that. And if you like, we'll have some sort of a council process.
Yeah, Myō, it looks like John's hand's up, like electronic hand.
Oh,
John R.
oh, okay. Go ahead, John.
Thanks, Max. Myō-san, I was wondering, I like the Buddharupa that's on the altar, and I remember when you first became abbot for a while, there was that kind of milk looking porcelain, and that's on the sides now. But I like that old Buddharupa because I have a funny feeling like we don't do soji very often at Isanji, but some morning I did, and then I remember just having quite an experience cleaning that, and I didn't realize that it came apart like that, like it had a little base and that it could, but then there was a ring and all these things. And like when I went to clean it, it was like, oh my gosh, the whole thing comes apart.
Do you mean the wooden one?
Yeah, I love that one. Or maybe I just love the memory of the experience of feeling, I don't know. Yeah, just sort of. Yeah, so I'm just really glad to see that one there.
David, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was one of Isan's favorites, the wooden Buddha figure.
I seem to remember something like it once belonged to your teacher and he gave it to Isan.
Oh.
You could ask him sometime if you thought enters your mind.
Yeah.
Somehow I have a recollection of that, but I'm not sure.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, Isan quite loved that statue too. So.
Like him, it had a cracked halo.
It has a cracked halo. Just so. Okay, well, we'll just turn the camera around and, well, I have to do 3 more vows, but then we'll light some charcoal and then we're just going to chant the Daishin Dharani, the Heart of Great Compassion mantra for our foster mother. Thank you very much.